Welcome back to the artist always known as Alejandro. It is quite a funny title, isn't it? Well, it's the name I'm going by. But anyway, we're going to a dude now, a very famous dude. And I had actually started this drawing differently. And I scrapped it. I even recorded a few lines and scrapped it. Because it just wasn't working for me. But then I said, well, let me try another approach, another pose for this character. Something where I can kind of show him off and do his thing. We getting a little guess on who this could be? Maybe. Is that any kind of a giveaway? Maybe the cape. Maybe these things. If you guess Batman, you're right. Batman. Yes. One of my faves. I was trying to do a drawing with him throwing his batarang. It just wasn't happening. I tried two different poses. It just wasn't happening. I don't know why. So I said, what about him like just coming down and swooping, like showing off the cape, just in a nice action pose? So I did this. Now, yes, I did kind of cheat already and do a brief thumbnail pose just because I was getting fed up, and in the interest of time, I didn't want to belabor you with getting to this. And even this had some alterations. I'm just hoping this will work. I think it's a good pose. We really have to show off the cape. I was doing some other poses where the cape isn't being shown, but you got to show the cape. You got to show the cape. It's so iconic. So I figured some kind of swooping down. See, I have it as a Batman swoop down sketch. So this is just a basic outline of the body and positions of stuff. So I'm going right into the ink. We'll go back to good old 8. And we're going to start with his face, because that's where everything is, right? So we'll start with his little cowl. It's time for the Cowl Crusader to hang up his cowl. Now let's fix the jawline. Make it go back. Obviously, my history with Batman. I don't know if it was comics or that Adam West show first. It might have been the Adam West show. It's hard to place any early memories of how I saw the Cape Crusader. I remember comics, but that Adam West show left an impression on me and many others. I mean, yeah, he had that iconic this look with his, and then his eye slits so you could see him. Many true comic book fans, which I was just a kid, I didn't know any better, was not the real way Batman was supposed to be represented. But I didn't care. I thought it was fun and enjoyable, and biff, pow, bam. Couldn't get enough of it. And in funny instance, I'm almost 100% positive that it wasn't them. There was a signing where there was a Batman and a Robin dressed exactly in the outfits that Adam West and Burt Ward wore in the TV show. But something told me it wasn't really them. You can tell. I'm like, is that really the way he's talking? I've seen the show so many times. I know what these guys should look like in real life, but I really didn't care. I mean, I got Robin to sign a photo for me, claiming it was Burt Ward who signed it. I don't know if it really was. I don't know how they got away with that if that was the case. Yeah, I couldn't believe it though. I mean, I was just mesmerized that these guys were here and actually signing some photos for us and talking with us. It was amazing. Maybe change his mouth a little. I always have that like grit of the teeth on the edge. It's weird because you don't want to draw full teeth in comic books. It looks weird. I don't know why that is, but it just looks weird. I don't know why. But, you know, if I were to just draw a bunch of teeth on Batman right now, you say, yeah, it doesn't seem quite right. I, I do remember collecting the comics here and there, but back then, comics were just really for me entertainment. It wasn't like I wasn't thinking of value as like selling them or reselling them. I just was fascinated by the stories and the characters and the costumes. Now, Robin was part of the All-Star Squad, which was a team that was an offshoot of the Justice Society of America, which in that All-Star Squad, you had an Earth 2 version of Robin. He had a different costume and he was older. And he didn't necessarily have to hang around Batman. Plus, it added Power Girl and the Star Spangled Kid. But there was an Earth 2 Batman. He had gray in his temples. They made him really old for some reason. And he actually married Catwoman. And they had Helena Wayne, who would become the Huntress in that Earth 2. Because there is another Huntress in the Earth 1. You'll lose your mind trying to get these Earths figured out. And I wanted his cape to, not really doing what I set out to do. I wanted his cape to really expand and show its beautiful length. I really wanted to go. We'll just kind of go like that. Following what I did. Should we go upside down? Why not? And then Mego came out with that Batman action figure in his cloth costume. And he didn't have the traditional comic book white slits. He had eyes. He had eyes that, just like that. There was no, was there skin? I don't think there was skin around the eyes. Just the white and the iris. I think the same thing with Robin. And I loved it. I'm trying to think. Did I have a Batmobile? I actually had a die-cast metal Batmobile of the Adam West TV show. I kicked myself for it because I don't know what happened to it. Something that just got lost in the shuffle as time went on. I know that's probably one amazing collector's piece to sell today, right? It was a really good model. They put a lot of detail and effort into that baby. Now here's now the comic books. There was Batman Family. Does anybody remember Batman Family? That had usually a solo Batman story. Then you'd have some solo Batgirl stories, a Robin story. I don't know who else was in there, but it was really, really nice stuff. Of course, there's also World's Finest. Batman teams up with Superman. It's funny, that title, World's Finest. Where did they come up with that one? There was one I remember that had Batman turn into a bat. And it's funny, he still had his bat costume, but he grew the ears. It was almost like Man Bat. And he had the talons sticking out of his boots, and he was attacking Superman. That kind of fascinated and repulsed me. Like, what is happening to Batman here? How could he turn into something so hideous? I don't like this. Trying to figure out what to do with that thumb. Then great artists like Neil Adams, who I did get to meet, brought his own stamp on the character. Now, what's going on here? Hold on. We should add a bend to it. And as you do this, come up with other ideas. We'll see how that translates when I get rid of the pencil lines. But now, let me tell you this. There was a company called Power Records. And they created stories, mostly original stories, with voiceover actors, and they would have sometimes a comic book to go with it. So you could read along with some stories featuring the Joker, Man-Bat. There's also one with Gorilla Grodd of all characters. I know he's a Flash villain. What's he doing there? And he had clothes, which is kind of funny. Usually Grodd has no clothes. It's just, here's a gorilla. And then one with like a Derek Holmes, who was a Sherlock Holmes takeoff. Those are the ones you could read along with. But one Power record, the one that had the Joker that you could read along with, also had Robin. He was in all the stories, and they also had stories with the Scarecrow, Catwoman, and the Riddler. And those are my favorites. I can listen to them every year without fail. They're just so enjoyable, so well done for what they did back then. Some stuff seemed a little silly, like Batman is chasing Catwoman and him and Robin are in disguise because she's making a plan to elude him and making Batman look like a sap, which is a funny term to use. And some gangsters want to pay her a cool million to make him look like a sap. Forget about trying to kill Batman. No, we just want to make him look like a sap. Okay. I'm going with iconic center chest with the normally be the yellow. And the other drawing I was just going to do the black. Let's go iconic, the yellow. Pretty big right now, but we can always change it. Right now I'm just laying down where I want most everything to wind up. But you can always move stuff around. And that voiceover cast did such a great job. The narrator of it created such a good mood with those stories, and the voice actors they used for Scarecrow and Batman and Robin too were very well done. Actually, they make a whole bunch of other characters: Conan, Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America, Planet of the Apes, and $6 Million Man were a lot of those Power records. But there were different studios producing them. Marvel had their own cast of characters. I mean, their own cast and crew working on them, which is very different from the ones that DC had. But oddly enough, Conan was a Marvel character at the time. But I know my voiceover actors. And I know the crew that did the Batman and Robin ones was the same crew that did the Conan ones. The narrator of the Batman ones was actually Conan. Great voiceover actor. I wish I knew what your name was, man. If you're still out there and listening to this, please tell me who you are. You're one of my voiceover heroes. So many of the Power Records actors are some of my voiceover heroes, and golly, I don't even know their names. I may never know their names. They may not even be alive. This stuff came out in the 70s. It'd be a shame because, man, they were just so good at it. You know, some of them weren't, but I admired the work they did. Now I'm going a little more modern because the traditional Batman had these little capsules on his belt that really, I can't see him carrying a lot of stuff in this. Like this is going to turn into a batarang or a bat rope. But if you have these pouches, still yellow for some weird reason, then that could work. In now recent years, and I guess it makes sense, Batman didn't have underwear. He wore underoos. No. I kind of prefer the underwear. In the movies, it makes sense he wouldn't have anything like this. And he's usually all in black. He wouldn't have the gray. Which I kind of miss. Then, of course, Batman made it to the animated world. And back then, none was more iconic for me in the 70s than his stint with the Super Friends. The one time Robin was actually with the Justice League. Oh, I loved it. That was my favorite cartoon back then. Just to see all these characters together in one place. Batman with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Wow, what is going on here? Of course, the real trip was when they did the challenge of the Super Friends. And then we finally got a bigger Justice League that it got to include the greats like Hawkman, Flash, Green Lantern, and those new additions like Apache Chief, Black Vulcan, Samurai. Like, what are these guys? I've never seen them in comics before. And you got some rogues. But the only two Batman villains that I guess they were allowed to use were the Riddler and Scarecrow, which is fine with me. They're very well done. And just to see them teaming up to fight them and like, wow, what is this? I love this. Ooh. There was another solo Batman cartoon, I remember, and I think Adam West did the voice for that. And it was just Batman. The animation that was sometimes spotty at best. Both of them, they had their, like sometimes Batman's insignia would be yellow and this would be black. I don't know what happened to their plates there. Whoops. Even Adam West came back to do Batman's voice for the Super Friends. I believe it was when they became the Galactic Guardians / Superpowers. All right. Let's go wide again. I mean, we could add the lines here if we really wanted to, but maybe I'll do it later. All right, the Batman. Yeah, what's going on here? Well, things change. I'm feeling that in this initial sketch, we have Batman with his arms back there. Now, maybe when he initially leaps, he might be like this, but the way his foot is positioned, he's landing, and his arms won't be all the way back there. I don't think so. That's my feeling. He's going to have a bit of a bend and ready to start punching out some bad guys. See, so his fists there'd be a slight bend in the arms. That's what I think. He's landing and he's going to be charging whoever he needs to knock out. One punch. Oh boy, if you never read Justice League International, that was quite the comic. They made the Justice League actually funny, and it worked. And there's the infamous Batman One Punch. The Green Lantern named Guy Gardner was being very sassy and thought he could pick a fight with Batman, and he's a Green Lantern, he could do just about anything he wants with his Green Lantern. But Batman set him straight with one punch. Be very interesting that Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, will be in this new Superman movie coming out this summer. Played by Nathan Fillion. See if he catches the same attitude. This Guy Gardner was a bit of an a-hole. Really no other way to put it. Batman just had to be the one that set everybody straight. He was the straight man when everybody got to be a little silly. So I have this kind of perspective where the fist is slightly coming towards the viewer, so there's going to be a little strange thing like the arm. If you angle the arm that way, it will be a little shorter and bulkier because it's coming towards you, right? Right. But I also mainly wanted to get, well, there's supposed to be at least 3 here. Those bat fins on the gloves, those are so iconic. This is going to translate. Well, I need all 3. I'm going to make them a little closer. Like this one might be a little more, maybe closer. It's a good thing about digital drawing. You can move stuff around. Plus I made his cape a little smaller. I could still play with it. Like he's just landing, the cape is going to start settling down. I want to show that movement. I can make this a little better. Well, let's work on the cape. Then, of course, the seminal event in the very late 80s, the very last year of the 80s, was we got a live-action Batman movie. Yeah. Big controversy at first was casting Michael Keaton as Batman. You mean Beetlejuice? Mr. Mom? That was the conversation back then. The debate, the protests. You can't be serious. Him? Batman? That's nuts. He can't be Batman. That's sacrilegious. Or whatever it is. I was on that fence too. I mean, Michael Keaton. He'd be the last guy I would pick as Batman. He's not Batman. But there's nothing we could do about it. He was cast as the Cape Crusader. The bright hope was that we had Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Like, oh, wow, okay. I can't wait to see that. This is just weird. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to fall. But you know, with me, I want, well, the way I had it was pretty iconic. But the way it's falling right now. Let's see if I can kind of convince it to go another way here. There we go. These little scallops here, that's just so... it's so batty. And then we were just like, well, let's see. And then we got a little gift in late winter '88. Just put together teaser trailer, which I still think is one of the greatest movie trailers ever made. Maybe movie teasers, I should say. Because we hadn't seen any pictures. We hadn't seen, you know, this is pre-internet. There was nothing leaked until this one teaser trailer came with no music, but just some scenes cut together. Probably not even mixed well, but there was something there. Our first time seeing Michael Keaton in the costume. And it's like, what is this? Whoa. And then the first time we hear him holding up that thug over the ledge, and the guy asks, what are you? And what does he say? Just simply, I'm Batman. It was originally scripted as I am the Night. He just made it simply, I'm Batman. And it was just like, whoa, oh, okay. And I just watched that teaser again. And the first time you see him, he's shooting his little grappling hook gun around a gangster and pulling him over a railing. I'm like, oh, whoa. I think the part that sold it for me was they showed the shot of him crashing through the museum ceiling, and that cape is flowing, covering up almost the whole screen. Like, oh, whoa, 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 that is amazing. This could be something special. And so, next, the very end of it, you have him flying with Vicky Vale in his arms out the museum, and you hear Jack as the Joker saying, "Winged freak terrorizes where they get a load of me." And his laugh, with just Batman staring at the camera. Whoa. Oh, okay. This is happening. This is the real deal. Now we were pumped. Like, okay. Now at the time, I really want to make this. I gotta shrink this down. But I want to tell you my Batman story. So follow along with me. Bear with me. I know you came along here for more than just this. I'm going to do something really radical. Come on. Here we go. I'm going to move that and encircle this. Came out, I was living upstate New York, so all my friends that I lived with on Long Island, we were all pumped to see it, but I had to get out of there. Family issues. It won't be that small, Batty. Well, it was kind of close to this in the movie, but traditionally, that emblem is a little more centered, and I can fine tune this. But it wasn't as big as I had it. I don't want it that big. So anyhow, I was living upstate. I moved in with my dad. But I went opening day by myself. And here I was really slick. I was working nearby a theater, so I just went to the theater. I think I was aware of the show times, and I just waited in line. I was right near the ticket counter, ticket booth. It was one of those ones where the ticket cashier you can see on the street, and then the theater lobby's inside. But I thought all these people were waiting to buy a ticket. They had already purchased a ticket. Like, oh no. I think waiting maybe almost 20 minutes, it dawned on me, like, oh, you still have to buy a ticket. Like, oh, I thought you people were waiting by. Someone was generous to hold my place in line, and I just stepped up and bought my ticket. And this part may not be really pertinent information, but I was by myself, so they finally start letting people in, and I really had to pee, but there was a horde of us, and I didn't want to lose a seat. So I claimed a seat and just sat there and held it in for the 2 hours of that movie. And I was entertained. I mean, it's a good movie. Not a great movie, but a good movie. It was more Joker than Batman. If you haven't seen it. But Jack gave it his all. It was a great performance. And Michael Keaton, he put our fears to rest. He did a great job as Bruce Wayne and Batman. He was convincing. He pulled it off. So I was very pleased that he was the Batman. Then came a really strange thing in 1992 when he was back as Batman. Tim Burton directing again. This time we got the Penguin and Catwoman. And I was very thrilled with the choice of Catwoman. That was my girl, Michelle Pfeiffer. But I always just thought she had these cat-like eyes. Annette Bening was going to be her, but she got pregnant. Thank you for getting pregnant, Annette. Giving the role to my girl. Meow. She was a very cool Catwoman. And that was 1992. Now this time I was back on Long Island. Got to see it with my best friend at the time. Like the night before it opened, we saw a Thursday screening. Well, it was a weird movie. At the time, I despised it. I'm like, what happened? I remember someone leaving the theater saying, who wrote that? Psh. Can fill in the rest of that word. It was very unevenly done. Like a lot of the Penguin schemes just blew up in his face instantly. And really, what was his motivation to just make Gotham pay? I mean, he didn't really have much in the way to really hold a grudge against Batman. Batman was just really opposition in his way. Yeah, like Batman with his underoos, I should say, right? But I've come to enjoy the movie just for the pure creativity behind it. It was very, a lot of people say it's the more Tim Burton-y movie because you got a little more free reign. A lot of people complain because of Penguin's gunky drippage from his mouth. He bites into a guy's nose. There's a lot of dark stuff and things going on there. Like, what? So people were a little turned off by it. Understandable, but I do like it. And it's one of my favorite non-official Christmas movies. It takes place during Christmas. The bat symbol, freshly remastered. And time to do those little details. We want those lines, don't we? Well, let's start with that iconic cape. We want some lines. I'm going to start from the edges of the cape with those little tips to give you the shape of a bat. Just little, those bat wing features. Not to go all the way, but do have to have it starting somewhere here, right? Yeah. I kind of like this fading as it gets closer to him. Sloppy dice drinks twice, right? Anywho, and then as we're up here by the cow, we'll just kind of have a line spreading out here. Well, let's kind of follow the line that's below it, right? And some neck stuff going on here. Not much. Just a little bit here. And if you don't touch the cape, it's fine too. I just wanted to add a little bit here. I'm gonna make it more consistent. You can go completely upside down. Just adding some, it just adds a little more depth to the cape in the background. You know, whatever amount of lines you think works. You don't have to use the same amount of lines I do. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But you see, it adds a little more depth to the cape instead of just being this thing that's behind Batman. This looks like a weird spagushki. Whatever spagushki is. You decide. And then to even add a little more, I'm going to add some of the line to kind of go out here into the cape. It kind of connects everything together. There you go. It looks more like a cape now. Save. Alright, let's move on and do some muscles. Let's see. I'm going to do some shading here because if the light source is coming from there, this kind of would be shaded. Then again, he has this going on here. These I like to connect. Let's see, we have Yeah, he probably has this thing going on here. That. A little shading here for his thumb. Yeah, a little bit of extra stuff for his knuckles. I'm gonna go through the bat. Should I go back through the bat symbol? Well, we want to show his pecs. Usually, you see the ribs are kind of like right here. Gotta show off the ribs. I mean, the guy's top physical form. And so with the abs, I kind of like to have this shading here, and then I shade the abs here. Usually when light hits them, you get this thing that kind of shows them the person's got abs like this. That's what I just kind of remember from my Marvel Universe. I know we're changing universes, but Marvel Universe displayed their characters and just a drawing and all these things about them, their history, their height, their weight, team affiliations, first appearance, powers, all that. And the pictures were so nice. They were just posing for you. And so I got kind of an idea, not even knowing why they were drawing this, but I guess I figured out the anatomy would wind up here. And it just doesn't have the same, it won't be as much ribbage. Man, it's weird because I kind of did this thing I remember when I was drawing dudes, like the abs kind of go out. Like with women it goes in, but with the dudes it kind of splayos out, right? Like that. That looks superhero-y. Just fix these lines up a little bit. They should cradle, they should kind of come here where the muscle. So it's kind of like a thing like that. Well, let's see. Let's pull back. Oh yeah, Batman's his own muscle baby. Let's see. So this muscle may be a little more pronounced because of the angle he's at. This area I tend to shade a little more because it's going to be underneath. I might even do that. Could even do this because the cape is just, well, the cape is going over but back. It's going to go a little over. Do this double knuckle line thing. I don't know if I really need to do that. Anyway, moving right along. Let's go to the utility belt. Now, a lot of people do darken his thing here. I'm going to kind of just do this. See, drawing this way, it just looks so sloppy. When I have a pencil in my hand, you'll see the difference. I'll have to show you one day with pencil. I know some artists, I envy them. They can make such jagged lines look beautiful. Like something like that, they could cross things and it looks amazing. You don't need anything else. Their line work is incredible. Let's just see if I can mimic some of this magic just by experimenting. Get these out of the pouches here. Well, let's scale back. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. I might even add a little bit, whoops, a little bit more this way. Let's get some, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it so fast. Let's get some purposeful long lines going here. And even with his utility belt, the pouches could have a little detail like that. Figure the lights, these guys are a little more in the shadow, so they'd be a little bit more. And then some lines for the actual utility belt. It's just like this flat thing right now, but I want to give it something. The buckle will kind of leave. These will be like this. Zoom in a little more. Like that. And then we'll have that going this way. I gotta fix something here. There we go. Not completely touching there. We don't want any gaps, man. Just do a little erase some of that. Okay. Save. All right, and we know our dudes tend to have big muscles there, so we're gonna accentuate that one with our lines. And then this will be pronounced here because it's bending. And I'll even add a little bit of that coming in there and just some shade on the top of the knee. I like to make it touch. Down here we'll add a little shading underneath his foot because it's buried underneath, but that is his foot. Here we go again with this massive muscle. I've seen other artists, well, they've shaded this in too to give it a little more pronunciation. I think the Batman might add that because he's using a lot of muscles. You know, they'll bring these little lines here. Whoops, I really should know the double kneecap thing going on here. There we go. And then this thing going on. He's using lots of muscles here. He's jumping. Hey, let me add an ankle there. Well, how jumping from a really high up place, making it look so easy. Because he's in top physical condition. I don't tend to draw much. I may draw something here where the boot touches the ground. Maybe even in the back. I don't really tend to draw all the way through the leg because it looks, look, it just looks too much. It's too much going on. That's the way I see these guys draw. It's just enough. And of course the muscle that leads here. You can always, if you're just kind of wondering, the line is there. So, and I don't do the line, I just do the shaded. Little lines, the little itty-bitty lines. You can always trace it back there. Looking rad bat. I almost feel contractually obligated now to. Should I draw the line going through the bat? It would be there. If this was anatomical. I mean, if the bat costume is really a costume's fitting around him and not like body armor like it would be in the Batman movies. As I'm finishing it up, I kind of stopped my little stories about Batman movies, right? Should I save that for another video? I mean, after Batman Returns, we have Batman Forever, which I'm going to admit, back in 1995, 30 years ago from when I recorded this, yes, I thought at the time, remember I'm 24, I thought that was the best Batman movie. Yep, I thought it was. I'll admit that in this video. I don't know what I was thinking. Because I just rewatched Batman Forever again recently for its 30-year anniversary. Woo boy, there's a lot of problems in that one. Great costuming, but there's a lot of issues. Great score by Elliot Goldenthal. On the bright side, I'll have to show this to you. I met Val Kilmer, who played Batman in Batman Forever, and he signed my DVD of Batman Forever. Yeah, that was rad. He was very sweet, very kind. I appreciate you, Val. And Batman and Robin, well, let's not go there. It's actually, I think it's kind of a funny movie for all the wrong reasons. I think of it as an Elseworlds. And comic fans know what an Elseworld is. It's like an alternate reality tale of your favorite DC characters that are not part of the regular DC continuity. But holy moly. So many bad puns and things from Arnold's Mr. Freeze. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. You're not putting me back in the cooler. But anyhow, well, I think 20 years ago from this year, 2025, we had Batman Begins. Now they reset that thing. Put Christian Bale in the cowl. He did a fine job. Maybe speaking like Batman is very polarizing. He didn't really have to talk this way. Because he just kept his normal voice. Sounded a little silly there, Mr. Bale. But on the whole, Christopher Nolan directed quite a great piece of movie entertainment that really reshaped Batman and set us up for one of the greatest sequels ever made, The Dark Knight. Holy moly. That movie blew me away at every turn, and it was just a masterpiece. In storytelling, acting, writing, oh my goodness, directing, just each element. And you think you have it figured out, nope, there's another loop thrown. Of course, the late great Heath Ledger portraying the Joker, winning his actor posthumously. Too bad he wasn't around to accept that. That was the performance of a lifetime. And then rounding it out to The Dark Knight Rises, a very worthy sequel. Tom Hardy as Bane, a very worthy adversary. Much more improved than he was in Batman and Robin. Oh my god, he was just this grunting thing. And here became a very cold and calculated mercenary, forcing the Dark Knight to rise. And we had the little introduction of Selina Kyle, portrayed by Anne Hathaway, doing the Catwoman thing in this movie quite well. She was a good one. All right, just erasing the lines here. Whoa, not the whole lines, just the edges, boys and girls. You know, looking at him now, this thing, I kind of almost feel obligated to do his helmet. But geez, let me do it. Let me try it from this angle, okay? I'm going to try it from over here now. I'm going to try something with like lines like this way. Have them go in here. You know, I feel my Dark Knight isn't dark enough. Kind of needs to be. Especially in the cowl. Not too bad. Just got to go a little slower now. Let's see if I can do some cross-hatching here. Let's see if it works. You know, in the close-up, it's like, what are you doing, man? Let's try and erase some stuff here. It doesn't have to be that tight. It doesn't even have to be that neat. Let's see, go on the wide. It actually looks pretty good on the wide. But now I'm thinking the rest of them should be darker. Right? Anything that has where his blue would be normally should be a little darker. Oh, why you're doing this to yourself, man? Be that as it may. Let's play around. Let's see how it looks. I'm going to try it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this on its own layer. So if I don't like it, I can get rid of it. I think leading up to Batman, leading up to Batman Begins in the comic world, Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb took over Batman, created an incredible storyline called Hush. Let me tell you, Jim Lee going on Batman was big news because this guy is a master artist. He vamped the X-Men back in the 90s. His details are just, he makes superheroes just look freaking amazing. And what he did with Batman Hush, it just, whoa. It is a beautiful portfolio for that guy's work. It just stands out so well. And the story's great too by Jeff Loeb. If you there's one Batman story you should see from the 2000s, it's that. Obviously, there's also The Dark Knight Returns from the 80s with Frank Miller. That's an essential piece of Batman history. I've never read Nightfall, which introduced us to Bane, but for me, those are the top two there. I think I should leave it, folks. I'm thinking now Jim Lee stuff because he had the darker, he did shade in the boots and the cape to match the cowl. Now it just seems kind of like, should I darken it? I kind of want to do the bat insignia here. I just don't want to leave it sitting there. That looks kind of lame-o. Made it a little darker so the boots, the gloves, the cape, the underwear kind of all matches in its dark intensity. Let me just redo this. There you go. Well, you know, I'm going to airbrush this just to add some little shade. Batman isn't just landing on, you know, what's he doing? He's landing on the ground or something here. There we go. Just a little something for him to land on. That's what happens when you're in Gotham City. Alright. I know I didn't go into other Batman stuff like Batfleck and Pattinson. That's okay. All that matters is we have our drawing. So, and I hope you enjoyed hanging around with me on this crazy Batman drawing, right? This has been a crazy time. Stop it, man. You're hurting my eyes. That's okay. I'm Batman. And thanks for following along with this Batman drawing. Yeah, tell me what you think. We're really curious to see what you think about this drawing and how it came out. It was a lot of work. And I hope you enjoyed following along with me to draw this wild sketch illustration of the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader, the Batman. Always like and subscribe to me, the artist always known as Alejandro. You can always book me. I have a link to my artistry page if you want me to do a commission for you. And I have an affiliate link down below if you ever want to get this program, Clip Studio Paint. I'd really appreciate it. I do make a little something if you order it through that. I actually appreciate it. We'll see you next week with another drawing. So be on the lookout. And you can always go back to my other ones and play along and keep creating, because that's where it's at. Let's do it for fun. Drawing is fun, especially superheroes. All right, until we meet again, keep creating.